Okay, so you sent over some really interesting stuff on Tallulah Gorge State Park. And honestly, just reading through it, wow,
It's something else, isn't it?
it really is. We're talking about this huge canyon right here in northeast Georgia,
Yeah.
2 miles long, almost 1,000 feet deep. Well, it's impressive.
Absolutely. And it wasn't, formed overnight. We're looking at millions of years.
Millions.
Yeah.
With the Tallulah River just grinding away.
Grinding through incredibly hard rock, too. That Tallulah Dome formation, it's mostly quartzite and schist, stuff that formed way, way back when the continents were, like, smashing together, Pangea times.
So the river basically had its work cut out for it.
It really did. And the fact that it carved that deep, it just shows you the sheer, relentless power of water over geologic time. It's kind of mind-blowing.
It does make you think differently about time, yeah. And it's not just some random canyon either. It's actually one of Georgia's 7 natural wonders.
That's right. It gets that official recognition.
So our goal with this deep dive, using all of the great info you shared, is to really unpack what makes this place so special. Give you a feel for it, whether you're thinking of visiting or just curious.
We'll cover the geology, the ways you can actually experience it, from easy overlooks to pretty intense hikes.
Right, and the whole deal with the water flow, the dam, the history. There's a lot there.
There really is. So maybe let's start with the gorge itself, the main attraction.
Okay, the scale. 2 miles long, nearly 1,000 feet deep.
Yeah, and try to visualize that. 1,000 feet, that's almost skyscraper territory. Like, imagine looking down the side of a massive building, but it's all natural rock stretching out for miles.
That puts it in perspective. It's huge.
And the river, the Tallulah River, was the sculptor. Just relentless carving.
One of the articles you sent really hit on the volume of water it must have taken over all those years.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Water and sediment acting like sandpaper against that super resistant rock of the Tallulah Dome. This wasn't easy erosion. The rock formation itself happened during that Pangea collision. Lots of folding, immense pressure.
So nature's toughest canvas, basically.
Pretty much. And the river still managed to carve this masterpiece. It's just incredible erosion power on display.
And then there are the waterfalls. Tallulah Falls. It's not just one big drop, is it?
No, not at all. It's actually a series. 6 distinct waterfalls, dropping a total of about 500 feet over roughly a mile.
6 of them.
Yeah, and they have these great evocative names: Ludor, Hurricane, Oceana, Bridal Veil. You get the picture. Each one's a bit different.
Lodor, Water of Gold. Sounds beautiful.
Oh.
Hurricane sounds intense.
Exactly. And the sources definitely highlighted the photo ops, you can imagine, right? Different angles, different flows depending on the waterfall.
For sure. Now, something else mentioned was the ecosystem down there. It sounds surprisingly diverse for such a, sheer place.
It is. Because the gorge is so deep, you get these variations in sunlight, shade, moisture, creates little microclimates. And that supports some really unique life. There are protected species like the persistent trillium that's actually an endangered wildflower that hangs on there.
Wow, clinging to the cliffs.
Pretty much. And the monkey face orchid, which sounds amazing, and the green salamander. It shows how life adapts even in really rugged spots.
It's cool how these little pockets of life can thrive.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about experiencing it. If someone wants to go, what are the options? The sources laid out a few ways, from like easy walks to serious hikes.
Right. So the easiest way is probably the rim trails. There are multiple overlooks along the rim, giving you those big panoramic views.
Good for getting the lay of the land.
Exactly. And there's the short line trail that once paved about 1.5 miles on an old railroad bed. Super accessible, strollers, bikes, no problem, and even connects right to the town.
Oh, convenient.
Yeah. And then the north and south rim trails branch off from there, leading you to even more viewpoints.
Okay, so plenty of options for just taking in the view without, needing climbing gear.
Yeah.
But then there's the suspension bridge. They look pretty cool in the photos.
So the bridge is definitely a highlight. It's about 200 feet long, and it hangs 80 feet above the river at the bottom.
80 feet. Okay, that's high enough.
It is. And it sways a little, naturally. Being out there, suspended over the gorge, you really feel the scale, the depth. It's a great perspective.
I bet. But getting there, and especially getting down to the floor, involves stairs, right? I remember one source mentioning someone being surprised by the climb back up.
Yes, that's a really important point. Big time. To get to the suspension bridge and definitely to hike the gorge floor, you're looking at stairs. Lots of them. Over 600 stairs on some of the loop trails.
600.
Yeah. That comment you mentioned from Robert Quinn, I think, really drove home that it's a physical challenge. You got to be prepared for it.
Good heads up. So it's a workout, but the views are worth the effort.
That's the trade-off, exactly. Those views from the bridge or from the floor. You can't get them any other way.
Okay, so leg day required. Now, the most adventurous options seem to be that gorge floor hike, the sliding rock trail. It needs a permit.
Right. That tells you something straight away. It's not just a casual stroll down.
No kidding.
You need a free permit, but they only issue 100 per day. And you have to get it in person at the interpretive center. They give them out at set times 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., 2 p.m.
Only 100. Wow.
Yeah, so the advice across the board was get there early, especially weekends, summer. They can be gone really fast.
Like concert tickets.
Oh.
Okay, so if you score a permit, what are the rules? What do you need to know?
Well, first, there's a safety briefing from a park ranger. Yeah. Very important. And footwear, no flip-flops, no Crocs. They're really strict about that. You need sturdy hiking boots or shoes.
Makes sense. Slippery rocks and all that.
Exactly. And no pets allowed down there either. Plus, there's the standard $5 park entry fee per vehicle. Basically, be prepared for rugged terrain.
Preparedness is key.
Got it. So what's the hike itself like? Sliding rock trail? Sounds fun, but maybe tricky.
It's less of a clearly marked path and more. Well, finding your way along the river, you're scrambling over big boulders, crossing the river itself in places.
Crossing the river, like wading.
Yeah, wading, maybe even a quick swim depending on the water level. One review you shared mentioned needing to take off shoes for grip on the slippery rocks. So you need to be comfortable with that kind of thing. Pretty agile.
Okay, so definitely an adventure. What's the payoff down there? The waterfall's up close?
Oh, yeah. That's the big draw. You get right near Hurricane Falls pretty early on. Then further down is Oceana Falls. That's the famous one with the smooth rock people slide down.
The sliding rock?
That's the one. Slides right into this beautiful blue-green pool. And then the end point is usually Bridal Veil Falls, which also has a natural slide and a swimming hole. It's very immersive.
A natural water slide in that kind of setting sounds amazing. But I saw something about blue markers and a siren. That sounds slightly alarming, right? The blue markers, they're a safety feature. They show the potential high water line if there's a sudden water release from the dam upstream.
Oh, right.
It's rare, but if that siren goes off, you need to immediately get above those blue markers onto higher ground. It's just a necessary precaution because of the dam.
Good to know. Definitely something to be aware of. And the overall difficulty. One source called the climb back up arduous.
Yeah, strenuous is the official word. It's about 3.2 miles round trip from the interpretive center, but there's a 632-foot elevation change, mostly on the way back up.
Mm-hmm.
It takes most people around 3 hours, maybe more with stops. And yeah, that climb out over 500 stairs after scrambling over rocks, it's tough. Definitely earns its strenuous rating.
Okay, duly noted. Any other gear people recommended? Besides the essential sturdy shoes.
Good shoes are number one. Surprisingly, some people mention decent cell service down there, so maybe a portable charger for your phone.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And in terms of who should do it, probably okay for older, sure-footed kids, but definitely not suitable for really young children or like babies and carriers. The terrain's just too tricky.
Gotcha. Safety first. So it sounds like there are options for everyone, from the rim trails down to this intense floor hike. Are there other trails too, like backcountry stuff?
Yep. There are more challenging backcountry trails. There's even a 10-mile mountain biking trail, if that's your thing.
10 miles. Okay.
And another one called the Stone Place Trail. That one also needs a permit from the interpretive center, and it goes into a wildlife management area, so you have to be mindful of hunting seasons and restrictions.
Right. Lots to explore. Okay, let's shift gears to the water itself. The river, you mentioned the dam affects the flow.
Massively. Normally, the flow through the gorge is actually pretty low, like 35 to 40 cubic feet per second, CFS.
Yeah.
That's because of the hydroelectric dam upstream.
The one built back in 1913.
That's the one. Built by Georgia Railway and Power, originally to power Atlanta's streetcars, believe it or not.
Wow, that's a cool piece of history. So the river isn't usually this raging torrent then?
Not usually, no, which might surprise people looking at the size of the gorge. But they do schedule water releases.
Ah, okay. Planned releases.
Exactly. There are specific whitewater releases. These are big flows, 500 CFS on Saturdays, 700 CFS on Sundays, designed for expert kayakers and rafters.
700 CFS. That must look completely different.
Oh, absolutely. It's a powerful churning river then. Those typically happen the first 2 weekends in April and the first 3 weekends of November.
Prime whitewater season, basically. Must be
Yeah.
amazing to watch, even from the rim.
Definitely. But there are also aesthetic releases. These are smaller, around 200 CFS.
Aesthetic, just for looks.
Pretty much. To give visitors a chance to see the waterfalls with more water, make it look more, well, dramatic and natural.
When do those happen?
They're scheduled on weekends in the spring, starting mid-April up to Memorial Day weekend, and then again in the fall after Labor Day through September, plus the last weekend in October, also some weekdays in early October.
Okay, so more chances to see a fuller flow. But the crucial question, does this affect getting down to the gorge floor?
Yes, absolutely critical point. Gorge floor permits are never issued on any water release days, whitewater or aesthetic.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Too dangerous.
Exactly. The higher water levels just make it unsafe down there. So, if hiking the floor is your main goal, you have to check that release schedule and plan your visit for a non-release day.
Super important planning tip.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk history. It wasn't always just a state park, right? It used to be a big tourist destination.
Oh, yeah. Back in the late 19th century, it started drawing crowds. And when the Tallulah Falls Railway arrived in 1882, boom, accessibility went way up.
So the train made it a hotspot.
Absolutely. It became a major resort town. Some of the sources you shared said it actually rivaled Niagara Falls in popularity around the turn of the 20th century.
Rivaled Niagara. Wow, that's hard to imagine now.
It really was a big deal. Hotels, attractions, people came from all over to see the gorge and the falls in their natural, untamed state back then.
And there were some pretty wild stunts too, right? Tightrope walkers?
Yes, that's
Well,
part of the lore. A guy called Professor Bachman walked across on a tightrope back in 1883. Pure publicity stunt.
across that gorge. Seriously?
Seriously. And then much later, in 1970, the legendary Carl Wallenda did it too.
Oh, Carl Wallenda. Wow.
The very same. And apparently the towers he used for his rigging are still visible on the gorge rims today. Little pieces of that history still standing.
That's incredible. A physical reminder. But then the dams came along in the 1910s and changed everything.
They did. Georgia Railway and Power started building the hydroelectric dams. It was a huge project, obviously, and there was opposition.
People didn't want the dams.
There were definitely early conservation efforts. Helen Dortch Longstreet was a key figure. She fought hard to preserve the gorge. Didn't succeed initially, but it was an important early push for conservation in Georgia.
Interesting. That tension between progress, power generation, and preserving nature.
Exactly. The main dam, finished in 1913, drastically cut the water flow over the falls. And that, naturally, dimmed its star power as a major tourist draw for quite a while.
So the spectacle was reduced.
Significantly. But then much later, in 1993, things came full circle in a way. Governor Zell Miller worked with Georgia Power, and they established Tallulah Gorge State Park, a commitment to protecting it again.
That's great. A long road, but preservation won out in the end. What about the name Tallulah? Any idea where that came from?
It's a bit murky, actually. People often assume it's Cherokee, but linguists haven't definitively pinned it down to Cherokee or other local Native American languages. There are theories, but no solid translation.
Oh, interesting.
And then there's the connection to the actress Tallulah Bankhead. She was named after her grandmother, who was named after the falls.
So a bit of mystery, a touch of Hollywood.
Right.
And speaking of Hollywood, the gorge itself has been in movies.
It has. It's a pretty dramatic backdrop. It was used in the opening of Grizzly.
Oh, the Killer Bear movie.
That's the one. And famously, in Deliverance, some really key scenes were filmed there. And even more recently, parts of Avengers, Infinity War.
Wow. From Deliverance to Marvel. Quite the range.
Look, definitely translates well to the big screen.
So if people want to learn more about all this, the history, the nature, the Jane Hurt Yarn Interpretive Center sounds like the place.
Absolutely essential stop. It's got fantastic exhibits on the geology, the ecology, the history we've been talking about, those protected species.
That film, too.
Yeah, an award-winning film about the gorge really gives you a good overview. And crucially, that's where you get the gorge floor permits. So you pretty much have to go there anyway if you want to do that hike.
Right. Good central hub. Okay, what else does the park offer? Facilities, amenities, if you're planning to stay or spend the day.
Well, the park itself is pretty big, over 2,700 acres. For camping, they've got about 50 sites for tents, trailers, RVs.
Standard campsite.
Yeah, though one review you sent mentioned they can be a bit close together with just water and electric. But another user pointed out site #44 was great for tents. So maybe some variation.
Good intel. Any other camping?
There's also a pioneer campground, more primitive, and some backcountry Adirondack shelters you can reserve.
Oh, okay. Options for different levels of roughing it. What about non-hiking stuff?
There's a 63-acre lake in the park. It's got a beach area for swimming and a kayak launch, one guide mentioned. It's great if you bring your own boat.
Nice. A lake and a gorge.
Yeah. Plus picnic shelters, a gift shop, restrooms, showers, even laundry. There's a playground, tennis courts, an archery range.
Wow, they've got a lot.
Fishing, geocaching, they run ranger programs too. There are even park clubs like the Canyon Climbers Club for people who tackle the stairs.
Huh, a club for stair climbers. Love it. And remind us about the entry fee.
It's a $5 daily park pass per vehicle, or you can get an annual Georgia State Parks pass. If you're camping overnight, you just pay the fee once for your stay.
Okay. And pets. Quick reminder.
Leashed pets are welcome on the rim trails and in the campground, but absolutely not allowed on the gorge floor or any trails leading down to it, like the stairs.
Got it. Good distinction. Now, the park is right by the town of Tallulah Falls. What's the town like?
It's small, but right there on Highway 44123, super easy to get to, like an hour and a half north of Atlanta, 2 hours south of Asheville.
And it has that history as the old resort town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can still feel a bit of that past. There's a classic general store you can check out.
Cool. Anything else?
Yeah, there's a place called Tallulah 1882. It's a coffee shop in the old train station right on that paved short line trail. Looks really nice.
Oh, perfect spot for a break.
Definitely. And if you're into fishing, the nearby lakes Tugalo and Yona are supposed to be good spots. The town sometimes lists local events and the water release dates, too, on its website.
Handy. So it sounds like a nice little base. Okay, wrapping things up, Tallulah Gorge State Park really offers this incredible mix. Jaw-dropping natural beauty.
For sure. From just soaking in the views from the rim to that really challenging but rewarding hike down into the heart of it.
Right, and you can kind of choose your own adventure level. Plus, knowing the history. The resort town days, the tightrope walkers, the dam controversy, the conservation win. It adds so much depth.
It really does. It makes you appreciate the place on a different level.
And the big takeaway seems to be plan ahead. Especially for those gorge floor permits. And being aware of the water release schedule, that's crucial.
Absolutely. Check the official park website before you go. Get the latest info on permits, releases, trail conditions, everything. It'll make your visit much smoother.
It's just humbling, really. Thinking about the time and the power it took to carve that canyon, a real testament to nature's force.
It truly is, and hopefully this deep dive has sparked your interest. If it has, definitely check out the Georgia State Park site, maybe plan a trip.
And several sources mention fall being spectacular there, the foliage.
Oh yeah, fall colors in the gorge. Supposed to be absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Adds another layer of beauty.
Fantastic tip. So as you think about everything we've covered, the geology, the adventure, the history, what part of Tallulah Gorge sticks with you the most? It really is a place that makes you think.